The average car owner in America spends over $1,200 a year on repairs that could have been avoided. And a lot of those problems trace back to the same features that dealers use to sell you the car in the first place. I'm talking about technology and design choices that sound great on the showroom floor, but turn into expensive headaches once the warranty expires. Today, we're counting down 15 car features that are notorious for killing reliability, and some of these might be sitting in your driveway right now. Number 15. Continuously variable transmissions. Let's start with one of the biggest reliability killers in modern cars, the continuously variable transmission. CVTs showed up in mainstream vehicles around the early 2000s, and manufacturers loved them because they improved fuel economy numbers on paper. Instead of traditional gears, CVTs use a belt and pulley system to provide infinite gear ratios. The problem is that belt. It's under constant tension and friction, and when it starts to fail, you're looking at $3,000 to $5,000 for a replacement. Nissan has been especially notorious for CVT problems. Their Altima, Sentra, and Rogue models from 2013 to 2017 had such widespread transmission failures that multiple class action lawsuits were filed. Owners reported shuddering, hesitation, and complete transmission failure, often before hitting 100,000 miles. What makes this worse is that CVT fluid changes are often neglected because some manufacturers claim the transmission is lifetime fill. But mechanics will tell you that changing CVT fluid every 30,000 to 40,000 miles can extend the life significantly. The fluid breaks down from heat and friction, and once it goes, so does your transmission. Number 14. Dual clutch transmissions. Right behind CVTs, we have dual clutch transmissions. Ford and Volkswagen both bet big on this technology, and both ended up with reliability nightmares. Ford's PowerShift DCT used in the Focus and Fiesta from 2011 to 2016 became one of the worst transmission debacles in automotive history. The dual clutch design uses two separate clutches for odd and even gears, which should make for lightning-fast shifts. Instead, Ford's implementation led to shuddering, unexpected acceleration, and clutch failures. According to reports, Ford received over 3,000 complaints and multiple lawsuits. The company eventually settled for a minimum of $30 million in cash payments, plus vehicle buybacks. But that doesn't help owners who already paid thousands for repairs. The fundamental issue is that these transmissions try to behave like automatics, but use clutch systems designed for manual transmissions. In stop-and-go traffic, those clutches wear out fast. If you've got a car with a DCT, you'll want to budget for clutch replacement around 60,000 to 80,000 miles, sometimes sooner depending on driving conditions. Number 13. Turbochargers on economy engines. Automakers have been downsizing engines and adding turbochargers to meet fuel economy standards. A 1.5-liter turbo engine can produce the power of a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated engine while getting better gas mileage. Sounds perfect, right? The reality is more complicated. Turbos add heat, complexity, and points of failure. They spin at over 100,000 RPM and operate at temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees. When a turbo fails, you're looking at $1,500 to $3,000 for replacement, and that's if it doesn't damage the engine in the process. Honda's 1.5-liter turbo engine, found in the Civic, CR-V, and Accord, has had well-documented problems with oil dilution. Fuel was seeping into the oil, especially in cold weather with short trips. This thinned out the oil and caused premature wear. Honda issued multiple service bulletins and extended warranties, but the problem highlighted how sensitive these small turbocharged engines can be. If you drive a turbocharged car, Letting it idle for 30 seconds before shutting down can help protect the turbo by letting oil circulate while it cools. Skip this step repeatedly, and you're shortening the turbo's lifespan. Number 12. Start-stop systems. Before we continue, if you're finding this information useful, hit that subscribe button. We dive deep into car reliability issues every week, and it could save you thousands down the road. Start-stop systems automatically shut off your engine at red lights to save fuel. The EPA estimates they improve fuel economy by 3 to 10% in city driving. But here's what they don't advertise. These systems put extra strain on your starter motor and battery. A conventional starter motor is designed for maybe 50,000 starts over the vehicle's lifetime. With start-stop, you could easily hit 300,000 starts. Manufacturers use beefier starters and special AGM batteries to handle this. But when those components fail, they're expensive to replace. An AGM battery can cost $200 to $400, double the price of a standard battery. BMW owners have reported starter motor failures as early as 40,000 miles on vehicles with start-stop. The replacement cost? Often $1,000 or more because of labor involved in accessing the starter. Many drivers simply disable the feature, but you have to do it every time you start the car since it defaults to on. Number 11. Direct injection engines. Direct injection technology sprays fuel directly into the combustion chamber rather than the intake port. This allows for better fuel efficiency and more power. The problem is carbon buildup. In traditional port injection, timing belts instead of chains to keep the camshaft and crankshaft synchronized. Belts need replacement every 60,000 to 100,000 miles, depending on the manufacturer. Skip that service, and the belt can snap. On an interference engine, when the timing belt breaks, the pistons and valves collide because they're no longer moving in sync. This causes catastrophic engine damage. You're looking at $3,000 to $8,000 in repairs, sometimes requiring a complete engine replacement. Honda's J-Series 5.6 engines use timing belts up until around 2008. Plenty of Accords, Odysseys, and Pilots are still on the road with these engines. If you've got one with over 100,000 miles and don't know when the belt was last changed, you're playing Russian roulette every time you turn the key. The timing belt replacement itself costs $500 to $1,000, which seems expensive until you compare it to the cost of rebuilding the engine. Some manufacturers switch to timing chains to eliminate this maintenance, but chains have their own problems, which brings us to the next entry. Number 5. Timing chain. Tensioners and guides. Timing chains were supposed to be the maintenance-free solution. They last longer than belts and don't need regular replacement, except manufacturers started using cheaper plastic guides and hydraulic tensioners that fail well before the chain itself wears out. Volkswagen and Audi's 2.0-liter TSI engines from around 2008 to 2013 are notorious for timing chain tensioner failure. The tensioner stops maintaining proper chain tension, causing the chain to slap against the guides and create a rattling noise. If ignored, the chain can jump timing, or the guides can break apart, sending plastic debris through the engine. Ford's 3.5-liter and 3.7-liter V6 engines also had timing chain problems. The guides would wear prematurely, and replacing them requires removing the engine. That's not a typo. You have to pull the entire engine to access the timing chains. Repair costs can exceed $5,000 because of the labor involved. The frustrating part is that timing chains should last 200,000 miles or more with proper maintenance. When manufacturers cut corners on tensioners and guides to save a few dollars, it turns into a $1,000 problem for owners. Number 4. High-pressure fuel pumps. Modern engines need high fuel pressure to make direct injection work properly. We're talking about 2,000 psi or more. Traditional fuel pumps ran at maybe 60 psi. These high-pressure pumps are mechanical units driven by the engine's camshaft, and they're expensive when they fail. BMW's N54 and N55 engines had widespread high-pressure fuel pump failures. The pumps would seize up, stranding owners and potentially sending metal debris into the fuel system. BMW eventually issued a recall and extended warranty coverage, but not before thousands of owners paid for repairs out of pocket. Volkswagen and Audi vehicles with TSI and TFSI engines have also experienced fuel pump failures. The replacement cost typically runs $1,000 to $2,000 when you factor in parts and labor. The pump itself might be $400 to $600, but it's buried deep in the engine bay and requires several hours of labor to replace. What makes this worse is that fuel pump failures can be intermittent. The car might run fine when cold, but stumble and misfire when warm. Diagnosing the problem requires special equipment to monitor fuel pressure, and some shops miss it on the first visit. Number 3, automatic engine shutoff at highway speeds. This is a newer problem that's just starting to emerge. Some vehicles have software issues that cause the engine to shut off unexpectedly while driving at highway speeds. It's not a design feature gone wrong. It's a safety defect that can be life-threatening. Ram trucks from 2019 to 2022 had a problem where the engine would suddenly shut off due to a software glitch in the powertrain control module. Chrysler issued multiple recalls and software updates, but the problem persisted for some owners. Imagine you're merging onto the highway and suddenly lose power steering and brake assist. Hyundai and Kia recalled over 1.6 million vehicles in 2021 because of engine problems that could cause stalling. The issue affected multiple models, including the Sonata, Santa Fe, Elantra, and Tucson from various model years. Some engines had manufacturing defects that caused them to seize without warning. General Motors recalled nearly 1 million trucks and SUVs in 2019 for an issue where the engine could suddenly lose power or stall. The problem affected Silverado, Sierra, Tahoe, Suburban, and Yukon models from 2014 to 2019. These aren't small problems. When your engine shuts off at 70 miles per hour, you lose power steering and power brakes. The vehicle becomes much harder to control, and you're at serious risk of causing an accident. If you own one of these vehicles, make sure any recalls have been completed. Number 2, infotainment systems. Modern cars have essentially put an iPad in the dashboard, and like any computer, these systems can freeze, crash, or become completely unresponsive. The difference is that your car's infotainment system now controls critical functions like the backup camera, climate control, and in some cases, even basic vehicle settings. Tesla has had multiple issues with their touchscreen displays failing. In 2021, they recalled over 158,000 vehicles because the touchscreen could go blank, disabling the backup camera and turn signal chimes. The problem affected Model S and Model X vehicles from 2012 to 2018. Replacing the screen out of warranty could cost $1,500 to $3,000. Fiat Chrysler recalled 1.2 million vehicles in 2018 because their Uconnect system could freeze or reboot unexpectedly, disabling the backup camera. The fix required a software update, but it highlighted how dependent we've become on these systems. Honda's infotainment system in the 2016 to 2019 Civic and CR-V has been plagued with complaints about freezing, slow response times, and connectivity issues. While not a safety issue, it's frustrating when a 3-year-old car's screen becomes unusable and the replacement cost is over $1,000. The broader problem is that these systems become obsolete quickly. Your phone gets software updates for years, But car infotainment systems often stop receiving updates after a few years. Features like navigation and voice recognition become outdated, and there's no way to upgrade without replacing the entire unit. Number 1. Electronic throttle control. At the top of our list is electronic throttle control, and specifically, the unintended acceleration problems it can cause. Traditional throttle cables physically connected your gas pedal to the engine. Modern cars use sensors and computers to interpret your pedal input and control the throttle electronically. Toyota's unintended acceleration scandal from 2009 to 2011 became one of the biggest automotive safety stories in history. The company recalled over 9 million vehicles worldwide after reports of sudden, uncontrolled acceleration. Up to 89 deaths were linked to these incidents. Toyota initially blamed floor mats and sticky accelerator pedals, but investigations revealed potential issues with the electronic throttle control system itself. The problem with electronic systems is that when they can fail catastrophically. If a sensor gives incorrect data or the software has a bug, the engine might go to full throttle regardless of what you're doing with the pedal. Toyota eventually paid $1.2 billion in criminal penalties to the Justice Department and separately paid over $1 billion in class action settlements to vehicle owners. But Toyota wasn't alone. Hyundai, Honda, and other manufacturers have all issued recalls related to throttle control issues. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration receives thousands of complaints every year about sudden acceleration in various makes and models. What makes this the number one problem is that it's nearly impossible for the average owner to diagnose or fix. The system is buried in software code, and even when problems occur, they often don't leave any diagnostic trouble codes. You're completely dependent on the manufacturer to acknowledge the problem and issue a fix. So there you have it, 15 car features that can destroy reliability and cost you thousands in repairs. The ironic thing is that many of these technologies were supposed to make cars better. They improve fuel economy, reduce emissions, and add convenience. But they also add complexity, and complexity is the enemy of reliability. If you're shopping for a car, pay attention to which of these features it has. Research the specific model's track record, and if you already own a vehicle with some of these problems, stay on top of maintenance and watch for early warning signs. Sometimes catching a problem early can save you from a catastrophic failure. What car features would you add to this list? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if this video saved you from making an expensive mistake, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.